The What to Read Next podcast helps you build a TBR of future favorite books. In each episode, Lauren and Maine interviews authors and book influencers to recommend books they loved for you to pick up today. If you're an avid reader, always looking for your next great read, then the show's for you. Hi, Amelia. Welcome to What to Read Next podcast.
Thank you so much.
So happy to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I moved to Seattle, Washington, a couple months before the pandemic, and I've been living up here ever since. Other than like reading and writing, I am a big like video gamer and tabletop gamer. I actually have like my Dungeons and Dragons session like right after this. And yeah, I've been writing for my entire life, and yeah, I'm very awkward. Sorry.
No, it's totally cool. I love this. And so what made you decide to move to Seattle? Was it,
Yeah, one of my sisters, I have two sisters. So one of them lives up here, and she'd moved like right after high school. Like she moved to New York for college and moved right here. So we hadn't lived in the same area since I was like 12. And I've loved the area, and it just was like a good opportunity timing wise with my husband. And we just were like, let's go for it. And so yeah, we've been living up here since then.
There we go. Yeah, I love Seattle. I traveled there, I think about 15 years ago. And I remember being like, I want to retire here.
It's nice.
It's nice. Like, the weather is kind of like rainy and stuff like that. But, there's a lot of greenery, and there's like.
Oh, yeah, it's so pretty. And like, I'm from California, like Northern California. And even that's too hot for me. So like, this is nice. Like, it's super overcast today. And it's just really like, except for last summer, we had like 100-degree days, which was terrible because no one has air conditioning in Seattle. So you just like all suffer. It's rough. Hopefully that won't happen again this summer.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. So let's chat about exactly where you need to be. Tell us the elevator pitch.
Yes, I'm really bad at elevator pitches, but luckily my publisher wrote one for me because I'm always that person who can't pitch anything. But the pitch that I like to use is Turtles All the Way Down meets Love and Luck, in this romantic road trip story about a teen girl's last chance to have an epic summer with her best friend.
I love this. And so they're going on a road trip to San Francisco for a podcast.
Yes.
So what was the process of writing this book? When there's a road trip,
Yeah, I've driven that. Not all the way, like, so I'm from Sonoma County, so it's about like 45 minutes north of San Francisco. So I'd go to San Francisco a lot, and I've driven this, route from Seattle to Northern California quite a few times since moving here. So I kind of knew the route already, and it was sort of fun to recreate that in a book.
I love this. Yeah, I love recreating road trips. Just kind of like gives you an idea of like, it's armchair traveling. Because always like, getting out of the house and getting out of and like we've been stuck in the house for way too long.
I know, right? Yeah. So it was fun. There's like there's a scene where they go to like a treehouse hotel. Like about halfway through the book, and that's actually a real place. And I was like, do I need to fictionalize this? And Matter's like, it's totally fine. Called Out and About, and it's like this treehouse like resort. And I went there like 2018, I think, for the first time, and I've been back a few times just because I love it so much. It's just like right near the border of Oregon and California, and that was fun to include because I love that place.
Yeah. So did you write this during a pandemic, or this book came beforehand or after?
It was drafted in early 2019. And I'm a pretty fast drafter. I kind of just get a dirty draft 0 done first and then come back and make it shinier. But yeah, I drafted it 2019 and then I actually moved up here kind of during that process, which was kind of fun. And then it sold in early 2020, and then I revised it. I think it was the first book that I fully revised and worked on during the pandemic. One of many.
Yes, I think it's like it finally comes to terms of 2020 is one of those years that's just going to define, our life in different ways. Like what we're doing, and so a lot of the products that we're now reading in 2022, 24,
were written then.
Or revised then,
Yeah. I know. I'm not gonna mention the pandemic in my books unless someone makes me. And there was a joke that I saw online where someone's like, yeah, if they're not including the pandemic, then you're writing like speculative fiction. It's not contemporary anymore. And I was just like, let me live in my little safe world where like nothing is terrible.
Yeah, that's little, like there's a bubble that we don't have to talk
Yes.
about, COVID or anything like that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you've been writing all along. What was your journey to publication, journey to writing for you?
I've had kind of a weird journey, and I could probably go on about that for a while, but the condensed version is I was very, very shy about my writing. And by the time I was in college, I'd never really shared it with anyone, but I really wanted to have emphasis in creative writing for my English degree. So I had to like take creative writing classes. And so I applied, and you had to apply because they were upper division, and I got in. It was like super nerve wracking. And that was my first sort of experience sharing my writing with other people. And then after that, I ended up going and getting my MFA, which in the grand scheme of things, like wasn't as helpful, I think, as I would have hoped. I've learned a lot more from just like reading a lot. But then in 2016, I entered Pitch Wars, which is a writing contest online, and got in. So I was mentored by a wonderful author named Emily Martin, who's a YA author. And she mentored me, and I learned so much. And then from that point, I've actually had 3 different agents. I've kind of had some not great luck, in the early years when you're just so eager to have someone believe in your work and like sell something. So I kind of had like one agent in a book that didn't sell, and then a second agent who did sell my debut. And I'm now on a third agent and kind of exploring different pathways, with her of like, writing middle grade and adult as well as YA. So that's kind of been the journey, but a lot of ups and downs. I originally was being published under Simon Pulse, which closed in 2020. Like the imprint folded like a month before my debut came out. So, there's been a lot of bumps in the road, but I kind of think that's like par for the course when it comes to publishing. It's terrible except for when it's not, basically.
Well, thank you for sharing, because I feel like that sometimes we hear the path is like you just get an agent, you do this, and you do this, and it's like no, it's not always that path. Like
no, I'm so jealous of those people.
Yeah,
I'm so jealous. I'm like, no, like it was like, yeah, just roller coaster, just all over the place. It just, perseverance and not getting back up, because publishing will knock you down. And just writing the books and focusing on the books is really all you can do.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing. So let's chat some recommendations. Do you have any books you recommend our listeners to pick out?
Yeah, I kind of tried to put a few together. I do have like 2 that I don't know if they're considered cheating because they don't come out till next year, but I felt like slightly obligated, so I'll get to those. But I've been reading a lot of like adults recently, even though I'm only published in YA. I've been like on a big like adult thriller or like rom-com binge. Weirdly, those are like the 2 things I read, just like 2 all like different ends of the spectrum. But I really, really love Emily Henry's rom-coms. So I was going to recommend People We Meet on Vacation. I did just buy Book Lovers because I like put in a hold at the library, and it's like, you're number 886 out of like 20 copies. And I was like, oh, hell no, I'm going to have to like wait like 9 months to get this book. So I totally went and bought myself a copy. So I'm super excited. But I love her rom-coms because they're so much fun. Like you just like a book that just like feels like a little vacation itself. And then kind of like on another end of that spectrum is like I really, really loved Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins, where it's a thriller. I don't know if you've read it, like set on a creepy little island, and like there's like murders and like cannibalism history, and it's like super weird, and I love that kind of stuff. And then I'm currently reading the sequel, but Dial A for Aunties is like one of my favorite reads from like the past year. Just I love a book that can make me laugh, and I think I have a kind of a specific like sense of humor, and so it's kind of hard to make me laugh. And I was just like giggling throughout that entire book. That was just so much fun. I loved it. I'm enjoying the sequel, but I think I literally just started it last night. So I don't know. I'm very early. And then the one, like the few that are coming out next year, which I guess is really like depends on when they're coming out, but I'm like, man, 2022 is like halfway over. One book that I love that's like my Shout from the Mountaintops book is called The Borrow a Boyfriend Club by Paige Powers. Ooh. And I worked with Paige in Pitch Wars. He was my mentee. I co-mentored him with another author, and that book is like a shot of serotonin. It is the cutest book. It is about a transgendered boy who goes to a new school and is trying to fit in, and to do so and like convince his classmates of his real identity and gender, is he joins this club where they rent out boyfriends for like school functions. And it is like, I love it so much. I'm so proud of Paige. And I'm just like, I think it comes out in September of 2023. And that feels like so long, but I'll just be shouting about that book like for the next like year, basically. And then another that I read recently, because I haven't been reading a lot of YA, but I blurbed a new debut author, Jenna Miller. Her book is called Out of Character, and it's a very cute like love letter to fandoms and like nerdiness, and it was just so sweet. And I think that comes out, I did not write it down, I want to say either March or May of 2023. It started with an M. And those were kind of like my little collection of books I tried to put together all over the place thematically.
Those are great recommendations. I just tell you, I love Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation. It's like armchair traveling. There's like so much like traveling into it. And it's like
yes,
it's so fun, and you just like trying to figure out how they got together.
I know, it's so much fun.
And Rachel Hawkins, right? Like such great thrillers, but she writes so like diversely too, because I really love her rom-com.
Yeah, she writes all over the place. It's so impressive and like kind of like admirable. I'm like, I kind of want to do that. You just have like just write everything and seemingly like just do an amazing job at it. Like one can dream.
Yeah, so good. And Adele Frantis was like a chef's kiss. Like just funny, laugh out loud, Weekend at Bernie's.
I know. I just was dying. Like, I just remember reading it and like telling my husband, I'm like, now they're like Weekend at Bernie's in his body, and just like cracking up because he's just like, oh, okay. Like, because he has no idea what I'm talking about, but I was just laughing so hard that I had to like explain myself.
Yeah. Yes. And the book too is so funny too.
I know.
Like, there's some twists. Really I was like not expecting the twist. Oh, Joe, it's in the back cover. But it was so like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I know. So good.
So good. So awesome. So tell us where you can find you online.
Oh yeah. I haven't been like super online lately just because like I've been taking like a little social media break, which has been really awesome. But yeah, I'm most active probably on Instagram, and that's sincerely_Amelia. And then on Twitter, it's sincerely Amelia, just one word, because someone stole the just plain sincerely Amelia on Instagram. And then my website is just my full name, which is AmeliaDianeCoombs.com. That's where I usually am when I'm online.
Thank you, Amelia, for being in the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to share with friends, subscribe, rate, and review the show. This is the easiest way to support the podcast. For a list of books mentioned and other romance recommendations, please visit watchrenextblog.com. Did you know you can purchase audiobooks directly from your favorite local bookstore? With Libra.fm, you can pick up more than 250,000 audiobooks, including bestsellers and recommendations from real booksellers. You'll get the same audiobooks at the same price as the largest audiobook company, you know the name, but you'll be part of a different story, one that supports the local community. If you're new to audiobooks, they're the perfect way to squeeze more reading into your busy life. Listen with the free Libra.fm app while you do your chores, walk the dog, relax at home. If you already love audiobooks and don't know what to listen next, check out recommendations from people who know the best booksellers. The Watch Read Next podcast has a special offer for our listeners. Get 2 audiobooks on Libra.fm for the price of 1 with your first month membership. Use code WatchReadNext. The offer is valid only for new members in Canada and the US. The Watch Read Next podcast is part of the Frolic Podcast Network. Please visit frolic.media/podcast to discover new shows to tune in. Thank you so much for listening and have a great day.